working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines, a third Filipino in Singapore tested positive for the novel coronavirus, Singapore's health ministry said on Monday, March 2. Indonesia's most active volcano, Mount Merapi, erupted Tuesday, shooting a massive ash cloud some 6,000 meters or 20,000 feet in the air, which coated nearby communities with gray dust and forced an airport closure. Homemade videos featuring a catchy Vietnamese song and an accompanying dance about the necessity of hand washing during the coronavirus crisis have racked up more than 2 million videos or views on video app TikTok. A third Filipino in Singapore tested positive for the novel coronavirus, Singapore's health ministry said on Monday, March 2. The ministry said the 34-year-old woman had a Singapore work pass and has no recent travel history either to China or to Daegu City and Cheongdo County in South Korea. Her employer, however, tested positive for the virus. She was confirmed to have COVID-19 infection on March 2 in the morning and is currently warded in an isolation room at Nang Teng Phong General Hospital, according to the ministry. She was linked to the cluster of cases at WizLearn Technologies Pte Limited and was the 108th confirmed COVID-19 case of Singapore. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. on Tuesday recommended the repatriation of Filipino workers reportedly fired in Hong Kong amid the coronavirus disease 2019 outbreak. In a tweet, Locsin wrote, quote, "Will prepare for the repatriation pronto. Deeply disgusted with Hong Kong, which begged us to let domestic workers return to work. I extracted promise from Chinese Ambassador Huang Xiliang that they'd be given same protection from COVID-19 as Hong Kong residents." According to a South China Morning Post report, a Filipino was among the dozens of domestic workers sacked due to COVID-19 fears in the territory. In an earlier tweet, Locsin expressed disappointment over the news, citing the Philippine government's effort to partially lift the travel ban imposed on Hong Kong and Macau. As of posting, the Department of Foreign Affairs has yet to release details on the order. Meanwhile, it confirmed reports that some Filipinos abroad have been subjected to discrimination over the outbreak. Although these reprehensible acts have been observed, Menez said the phenomenon among Filipinos is not prevalent. Recently, a man who insisted that he is a Filipino was involved in a scuffle in Italy after being mistaken as a Chinese. Italy, which had been struggling to tackle the outbreak, has yet to record a COVID-positive Filipino national as of Tuesday. The country's Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases has approved the plan of the Department of Foreign Affairs to repatriate 148 overseas Filipinos from Macau within the week. This was according to the DOH, which leads the task force. In a release, the DOH said that 48 active members of the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration will also be repatriated via commercial flight. However, the 148 overseas Filipinos from Macau will be repatriated via a chartered plane. The DOH said returning overseas Filipinos will undergo the prescribed screening and quarantine measures being implemented by the Philippine government. Earlier, some OFWs in Macau had expressed apprehension regarding the coronavirus situation there. As of Tuesday, March 4, the number of 2019 novel coronavirus disease cases remained at 10, the same figure reported about a month ago. Macau has not detected any new cases for almost a month. The World Health Organization says that the number of new coronavirus cases registered in the past day in China was far lower than the rest of the world.
In the last 24 hours, there were almost 9 times more cases reported outside China than inside China. The epidemics in the Republic of Korea, Italy, Iran, and Japan are our greatest concern. If this was an influenza epidemic, we would have expected to see widespread community transmission across the globe by now, and efforts to slow it down or contain it would not be feasible. But containment of COVID-19 is feasible and must remain the top priority for all countries.
So we still firmly believe that the strategy of containment with slowing down spread, with protecting the health system, is still the best combination or blend of strategies right now.
With fears of a pandemic on the rise, the World Health Organization urged all countries to stock up on critical care ventilators to treat patients with severe symptoms. In Brussels, EU President Ursula von der Leyen said the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control had increased its risk assessment for Europeans after Italy's outbreak doubled in 48 hours.
ECDC has announced today that the risk level has risen from moderate to high for people in the European Union. In other words, the virus continues to spread.
As we speak, the European Centre for Disease Prevention and Control publishes the update of its rapid risk assessment, in which they raise the risk of infection in the EU from low moderate to high.
What we have learned so far, especially due to what China has been experiencing, is that every country needs to get ready. Globalization has left its mark everywhere. While we should not give in to panic, the situation is likely to still get worse, so we need to be prepared, and time is of essence here.
It is time today to declare that EU is ready to use all the available policy options, if and when needed, to safeguard our growth against these downside risks. A coordinated fiscal response needs to be very timely. You can't take it too early, you can't take it too late. So this will be, I think, the issue of the discussion, and it depends also on the evolution of the outbreak. We have different tools in our fiscal policies to adopt, but we should adopt them at the right moment and with a large consensus.
Package of 3 billion something.
The virus has raised fears for the world economy, with the OECD lowering its global growth forecast by half a point to 2.4%, the worst performance since the 2008 crisis. The Louvre, the world's most visited museum, closed on Sunday and Monday after staff refused to work because of fears about the virus. Italy and South Korea have been two of the hardest hit countries outside of China by this coronavirus epidemic. National Capital Region Police Office Chief Major General Debold Sina said on Tuesday illegal possession of firearms and frustrated murder charges will be filed against the hostage taker inside a mall in San Juan City. In a press conference in San Juan City Hall, Sina said Alchi Paray, a former security guard of Safeguard Armor Security Corp, was also tested negative for illegal drugs. Authorities recovered from Paray a caliber .45 pistol, 2 magazines with 16 live ammunition, and a tactical knife after the 9-hour standoff. Sina said he assured that the V-Mall area in the Green Hills shopping center was cordoned off during the hostage-taking incident. A crisis management task group was immediately activated by San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora, ably led by the ground commander, Colonel Jaime Santos, according to Sinas. Authorities guaranteed that all the decisions made were calculated and all efforts were given to secure the safety of the hostages. Meanwhile, Zamora said the suspect calmed down when his superior apologized to him. Zamora also said during negotiation, Sascor offered 1 million pesos for him to surrender and release the hostages, but Paray refused. He added that Paray had agreed to release the hostages and surrender to authorities as long as he was allowed to hold a press conference, to which the authorities complied. Paray was allowed to talk to the media without handcuffs to air his grievances for almost 20 minutes. Paray complained about the management's poor treatment of him and his fellow security guards, which prompted him to plan the hostage taking.
When visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. Indonesia's most active volcano, Mount Merapi, erupted Tuesday, shooting a massive ash cloud some 6,000 meters or 20,000 feet in the air, which coated nearby communities with gray dust and forced an airport closure. Ash mixed with sand rained down on towns as far as 10 kilometers or 6 miles from the belching crater near Indonesia's cultural capital, Yogyakarta. Authorities did not raise the rumbling volcano's alert status, but they temporarily shuttered the international airport in Solo City, also known as Surakarta, some 40 kilometers away after the early morning eruption. Indonesia's volcano agency to the lowest level since 2010 to combat the impact of the new coronavirus, which has battered economies worldwide. Bank Negara Malaysia slashed the rate by 25 basis points to 2.5%, as expected by economists in its second cut this year. It came as Australia's central bank reduced rates to a record low and as other institutions, including the Federal Reserve Bank of Japan and European Central Bank, vow action. Announcing the move, Malaysia's central bank said growth will be affected by the COVID-19 outbreak, primarily in the tourism-related and manufacturing sectors. More than 3,100 people have been killed and over 90,000 infected globally since the virus emerged in the Chinese city of Wuhan in December, although the crisis has shifted with more new cases now being recorded outside China. Malaysia has so far reported 36 cases of the disease. The government last week announced a $4.7 billion stimulus package to fight the impact of the virus, including tax breaks and cash aids. The cut also comes amid a political crisis in Malaysia after a reformist government collapsed a week ago and Muhyiddin Yassin took office as prime minister, backed by a scandal-mired party. Ex-leader Mahathir Mohamad, 94, is now challenging the new government's legitimacy. With summer just around the corner, Malacanang on Tuesday said Environment Secretary Roy Simatu has assured that there will be enough water in the country this year.
The World Health Organization,
Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said Simatu gave his guarantee to President Rodrigo Duterte during the 47th cabinet meeting on Monday night as part of the government's action plan in preparation for the dry season. He did not mention specifics, but relied on Simatu's promise that there will no longer be any water service interruptions in Metro Manila.
Secretary Roy said, or rather assured the President, that we will have enough water for the year. They're assuring us that there will be no water problem. There's doing something about it.
During the meeting, Panelo said Simatu presented his recent inspection of the capabilities and limitations of the Angat Dam, the primary source of drinking water for Metro Manila and irrigation water for farmlands in Bulacan and some parts of Pampanga. Simatu's pronouncement came after water concessionaires earlier warned its customers of a stricter implementation of its rotational service interruption schedule that has been in place for several months now as the water level at Ipo Dam goes down. Maynilad and Manila Water advised its customers to prepare for interruptions and limited water supply as early as this week once the summer season kicks off. Both water concessionaires are in the process of negotiations for a new concession agreement with the government, which officials said may be finalized in the middle of the year. The Kaliwa Dam project in Infanta, Quezon is funded by Chinese loans, while another project, the Wawa Dam in Rodriguez, Rizal, is a joint venture of the consortium of Enrique Razon and Oscar Violago. The two projects are expected to provide an additional 600 million liters a day and 80 million liters a day, respectively, to help service Metro Manila. Welcome back. Juicy, ripe, and plentiful, Myanmar's melons are ready to eat. But as coronavirus fears reach fever pitch, Chinese buyers are staying away. With the China-Myanmar border closed, producers are holding their first festival for the fruit in the hope of selling their wares so they won't go to waste.
တော်တော်များများဆုံးရှုံးတယ်တချို့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဘယ်လိုခေါ်မလဲဆိုတော့ဟိုပေါ့နော်ဟိုအကျွေးတားတင်သွားတဲ့အဆင့်မျိုးတွေဖြစ်နေတာပေါ့လေတော့ရင်မှန်းချက်ကတော့ဒီတရုတ်ပြည်ဒီဘက်ကိုစိုက်ဖို့ပဲဒီဘက်ကတော့ကောင်းနေတယ်
အခုလိုအခက်အခဲတွေဝန်ပိုင်းကြောင့်အခက်အခဲရှိတဲ့အခါကျပြည်တွင်းကိုလည်းကျွန်တော်ပြန်ပြီးအားကိုးရတာပေါ့ပြည်တွင်းကအရင်တော့ကလည်းစားပါတယ်စီတီမစတက်မဟိုတယ်စားတာကျွန်တော်တနေ့သူလက်တန်ချိန်မနေပါဘူးခင်ဗျဒါပေမဲ့လို့အရင်တော့နည်းသေးတာပေါ့လေအခုတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကပွဲတော်လေးကျင်းပလိုက်တဲ့အခါကျဗာမြင်ရတော့ဆိုတော့ပြည်တွင်းစားသုံးမှုလည်းအင်မတန်မှကောင်းပါလားငါတို့က message ပေးတာနည်းနည်းလိုနေပါလားလို့အခုကို
Homemade videos featuring a catchy Vietnamese song and an accompanying dance about the necessity of hand washing during the coronavirus crisis have racked up more than 2 million views on video app TikTok. Take a look. Cribbing the tune from pop song Jealous or Ghen in Vietnamese, by singers Eric and Min, the Ministry of Health released an animated video with lyrics telling its citizens to push back the virus, Corona, Corona. The unlikely earworm by a usually staid communist government drew hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube and was also featured on HBO's comedic news show Last Week Tonight with host John Oliver calling it a genuine club banger. In Vietnam, the nation's youth have taken to TikTok performing hand-washing dance moves, making sure to rub in between their fingers and their fingernails, which health professionals have recommended. Popularized by dancer and internet personality Kang Dang, who has nearly 300,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram, he and another dancer performed it with light-hearted swagger on a street with food vendors. It was tagged with the government-issued hashtag GanCoV Challenge, and Dang's original video has been viewed more than 1.1 million times. The song provides guidance on how to prevent an infection, such as washing hands by rubbing evenly, and limiting visits to crowded places. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Monica Velasco and I'm 1 with 25.
Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa